What's up, guys? It's Rainhead back with another update video of The Bazaar. And today I want to introduce you to Stelle, one of our heroes from the game. Stelle is a little bit of an atypical class for a video game. One thing that we really wanted to lean into with The Bazaar is doing the kinds of characters that other games wouldn't necessarily do, right? So less like knights and paladins and wizards and Western fantasy, but a little bit more, professions. We have an engineer, an alchemist. Well, I'm not sure what exactly you would call Vanessa's profession, an outlaw, I guess. And in the case of Stelle, she is an aeronaut. She is a prodigy airship engineer and pilot. I'm not going to go into the full in-depth backstory. Hopefully you guys will check out all of the content we make in the future that kind of goes into all of that, and of course through the game we'll tell a lot more of her story. But to just give you a bit of an idea of Stelle at a high level, she's a genius, a prodigy. She's a very good student, top of her studies, and she got a full scholarship to the prestigious airship academy on the Bazaar. She's from the planet Mir. I should probably know how that's pronounced, yet I don't. I've only ever seen it written. I guess I should commit now, huh? Yeah. This is canon. You think Mir? All right, yeah, you're right. All right, Mir. Simon says Mir. That's canon now. So with Stelle, that's kind of the general guideline we gave the art team. They came back with this round of sketches. We had, great hairstyles, great poses, great outfits. There's a lot to like and dislike, and we started getting feedback from a lot of people within Tempo and just seeing how they felt about the different ones. The feedback was really good, and people, thought it was a cute character, and a lot of these different styles we decided to kind of move it forward with and try. And so we tried different hairstyles, polishing them up even more. It's just, there's no shortage of options at this stage, right? The art team really went with all sorts of different styles. We ended up polishing them a little bit more, and after doing more development, we basically realized, okay, well, the character's cute and it fits the aesthetic well, but she seems kind of like a child, much shorter than the other characters in the game, right? We have Pygmalion, who's towering at 8 feet tall, and so we stretched Stelle out, made her look a bit more like a grown-up, and we really liked the direction this was going in. Out of these four, the left one here, without the metal leg, as you'll see later, was kind of the one that most people were gravitating towards. This was kind of the style that we felt was strongest, so we decided to keep developing that, tried different heights, different body shapes and styles, and then put Stelle in a lineup. And you can see here, this is kind of the initial round of sketches. She would seem a little bit out of place or kind of like a kid next to these other characters, but she's an adult, so she kind of grew up in this stage. We got the taller version of Stelle in the lineup, and we just continued polishing this, experimenting different heights, different body shapes, and adding a little bit more polish. You can see at this stage, the metal leg was gone. We're experimenting with even more hairstyles, and a lot of these we might even go back and use in the future, frankly, because they just look good, maybe for skins or something like that. So yeah, we decided to add a little bit of color to the image, try even more hairstyles, mostly the same pose. We felt like this was a pretty good one, and just kept iterating, kept polishing. The art team, basically we'd have calls fairly regularly, and every time we got an iteration of these, we'd give feedback on what worked, what didn't. You can see here we tried different faces, so we kind of have two styles of face that we felt like, both worked well, but we really liked this top style a little bit more. We felt like that. This is a really good design. It was really close to what we were aiming for, so yeah, kept trying some different color schemes. The purples we felt good about at that point in time, and at this stage we decided to experiment with some different poses. Instead of just holding the map like she was here, we decided, let's give her some tools, really communicate that she is an engineer, like an airship designer and mechanic, a little bit more. So we gave her a welding torch, tried some different poses with that. Really thought all of these looked good. And yeah, just kept polishing it up. At some point, we still felt like she might look a little too childish still compared to the other characters. So the art team tried a different direction and went more for a traditional, heroic, power stance type of style. You can see very different facial structure and pose and everything here, different proportions, but these were cool in their own way, but they didn't really feel like they fit the Bazaar aesthetic exactly. It felt like an art style from a slightly different game. So yeah, we moved forward to some much more refined sketches, and this is really when the character felt to us like it was starting to take shape, right? She had a ton of great hairstyles. We really liked Stell's face at this point, which is really one of the hardest things to get right for these kinds of characters. And she, I mean, for any of our playable heroes, like with Pygmalion, you guys remember it took months and months and months before he really looked like warm and inviting. And it can't be like overstated how important that is to put focus on it. So we really, it's not just like, oh, you sketch a character out, do a couple phases, and then it's done. It's like, it really is an iterative process where we try a million things. And we feel really confident in where we land when we go through it that way. But we tried giving her different tools to hold on to. Felt like these were strong designs. But yeah, we wanted to move a little bit away from this more cartoony style, I guess. I don't really know how I would describe this one, but these felt more like the right direction to us. So we liked having some different options of outfits. We were trying to figure out, you know, how exactly do you want to do this? Do you want to do like the overalls or this sort of like pilot, like jacket, like hanging off of her waist type of look? And really we wanted to commit to a hairstyle and a face that was kind of like iconic and like her default look. So we looked at all of our options. We really felt good about these bottom two the most. D2 and D3 really felt like they resonated with what we're aiming for that character. So yeah, we eventually got to this stage, and this is really close to the final version that we wanted to end up on. So we basically sat with this version of Stelle for a couple months without really iterating as we worked on other characters, on items. Stelle was and is one of the last card sets we are working on because her like flying mechanics have a lot of different options for how we want to go about that. And we really want to make all of our classes feel really different when you play with them. So we are starting with like the more simple mechanics in some of the more simple classes, and then, you know, working up our way through the complexity levels. We really liked this design, really felt like it was coming together, and we decided to move forward. And these looked great. We had a bunch of cool hairstyles that we hadn't tried before. We tried different hair accessories, bandanas, different tools, an arm pouch. There's a bunch of elements from all of these that we liked and wanted to continue incorporating the future designs. So after making some calls on which elements we liked, which ones we didn't, we ended up here where we're trying, you know, different skin tones, different colors of hair, and different tools. We felt like these looked a little bit too much like a hair dryer maybe, whereas this one is more clearly like for welding. So having like the fire helped, but it was still a little blow dryery looking. So we wanted to tweak the tool a little bit. And you can see there's just a bunch of different like details with like what she's holding, the bands on her arms, her shoes, like the pant style, the scarf, glasses. We're basically just trying to figure out like, okay, which elements are gonna be iconic for Stelle, you know, when the game is out and we have 1 trillion players that we took from Bobby, which one of these is the most cosplayable? Like, these are all sorts of questions we're asking ourselves. So, but here is kind of where we ended up. This is Stelle, and you can see we were on this stage for quite a long time, and it was very close to what we're aiming for, but with a bit more polish. We ended up here. We made the tool more clearly an engineer's tool. She is like this you know, prodigy airship engineer and pilot. We just really like where it ended up. And I'd love to see what you guys think. You know, I know I'm kind of breezing through a million different sketches, but any feedback that you have on what you're excited about, what you feel like looks good, what doesn't look good, it's all super helpful. So make sure you guys talk about that in the comments. I'll definitely read through all of it. As you guys see, I do my best to respond to what I can as well. After committing to the default look, we decided to experiment with some skins, and we, you know, looked at some potential butterfly catcher skins, which we liked these. They had some strengths. We liked some poses, but really this one here just felt like such a strong pose and just such a cool, like, iconic look. You know, like the wings and the butterfly is still a big element there, but she's more clearly an aeronaut, not necessarily a bug catcher. So I think it's really good to have like that consistent messaging about what a character is, especially in the initial release of a game. You know, later on we can go wild and really start even like changing the look more aggressively, but I think it's really important that, you know, when we first release the game, every skin, every version of the hero is clearly Stelle, and she's clearly an aeronaut. So we really like this design, decided to move forward, try some different color schemes, and after a bit of polish, we ended up here, which is, you know, going to be one of our skins for Stelle. And I really love the look of this. I think she's just such an awesome character, has a really great backstory, which I just like glossed over and gave you guys some bullet points, but Our goal with the Bazaar is to really build this into a transmedia IP where our hope is to get an animated series out into the world, eventually maybe even get a theme park. And we want to use all these other mediums to kind of tell the story of the Bazaar and this world that we're building. A great thing about a card game is it's very replayable and it's very, it has a reasonable scope to develop, but card games aren't as good of storytelling vehicles as like an RPG or a first-person game, something with a lot of dialogue, an MMO. So, we plan to use transmedia to tell a lot of that story that we have a hard time telling within the game itself. So we like the general identity of Stelle. It's a lot of yellows and blacks, and we really thought that this would work well with her items as we continued developing them. So this is kind of to give you an idea of what her card set aesthetic is going to look like. You can see a lot of the yellows and blacks still represented in the items. Aesthetically, she has more of like a steampunk look. One of the great things about the Bazaar is it's the kind of IP that can accommodate all sorts of different levels of tech from past, present, and future. So we can have a plasma rifle on some sort of shoddy like wooden table, and we can have steampunk, without needing to, hard commit to like one era of technology. It's the beauty of the Bazaar. It's very eclectic, it's very diverse. There's technology and people and creatures from all over the galaxy of all sorts, and I really like this steampunk aesthetic. So she's not 100% steampunk, but there's definitely elements of that as part of the art direction, and it's I just really love how it turned out. I think her items look fantastic. I think Stelle looks fantastic, and it'll be a very, very fun class to play. Well, there you have it, guys. I hope you like the look of Stelle, her items, and I would love to, read some feedback about what you like, what you didn't like. Take your time, pause the video, check the different images, and let me know what resonates with you guys. I think that feedback's invaluable. It's one of the great things about being really transparent in this development process. We don't have to like hide and shield everything from you and then unveil it down the line and hope that you like it. If you guys have issues with this, we definitely want to address them, before we release. And it's just great to get early feedback. So it's been awesome to see the support from the community on all platforms, and we just can't wait to really grow this and build this community with you guys even more. And a big thank you to those of you that backed us on Republic. We've actually raised over $600,000 from retail investors like you that really believe in the project and want to have some skin in the game. So it's our last month that the campaign is running. Thank you guys again for that support there. And if you want to learn more about the Bazaar and maybe a bit of the business strategy behind everything, I encourage you guys to check that out. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Thanks for following. Thank you for your support. And we'll see you guys back here another Friday for another update video of the Bazaar.